and deny if you must that fertile hope too springs from despair. I then must be of lesser nobility to breathe life into my fading family and exact my will upon fate. As a man and a father, I am accomplice to the murder of Mickey Kane. Mickey Kane is dead and gone to time. We killed him. Wasn't his fault. But you could say what happened to him is the consequence of miracles. In a Red Hook pier house, Mickey Kane was shot in the head, dumped in the channel. Why? Because my wife just gave birth to our first. That's why. Colleen Rose is her name, and she's hungry. But also because in Brooklyn, if you're not with Denny Meehan's gang, the White Hand, you're out of work altogether. Thing is, we're all related here in Irishtown. Mickey Kane was the cousin of Denny Meehan, who was married to my cousin, Sadie. But Mickey was Denny's future and Denny's hope. And what about the boy Denny has with Sadie? Well, I know a secret about that child I want to tell you about. I'm not a violent man like my psychotic brother Pickles, but I know things. Me. Knowing things is what I'm known for, and I'm the guy waiting in the long shadows to turn them against you. My parents come from Coleraine County, Derry, Ireland, but moved to England for the work. When I was 5, we moved again, here to Brooklyn's windy waterfront, within earshot of factory steam hammers, church bells, and barge horns moaning like giant creatures groaning in the waterway distance. In the year 1900, Pickles and I were abandoned and lived under a rotted pier. The police in their blue tunics called us water rats. Irishtown's old codes and Brayan ways were dying off, till one day, the aged, unkempt augurs of Irishtown, the original famine Irish who'd settled this place in the 1840s, set themselves to ancient prayer and predicted a leoch, the Irish word for warrior hero. That's when young Denny Meehan appeared and pulled us out. We became master cut-pursers and pickpockets, and before long, we were feeding all the old-timers of Irishtown. I could even afford to send for Sadie, our cousin back in East London. I saw destiny in Denny's youthful eyes, but Pickles went mad with rage, jealousy, and wanted to kill him. In 1912, the king of Brooklyn was Christy Maroney, gold-toothed larrikin who was prostituting Irishtown and making all of us pay him tribute. Then one day Denny decided he wanted to take over Irishtown. He and a few other impromptu assassins plotted in the J Street rail yard, and within minutes Christy Maroney, Irishtown's king, lay dead in the women's entrance of a saloon between the bridges. The tunics arrested Denny and Pickles and a few others. But on the night before the verdict was to be read, I saw a figure climbing up the fire escape to Sadie's room. It looked like Denny to me, yet Denny was in custody. But I know that a young man who climbs into a girl's window plans to leave his seed behind. In the courtroom, the mysterious Harry Reynolds sat next to Sadie as I watched. My family is yet to recover from what happened next. Pickles was convicted of the murder. Denny was exonerated and promised Sadie that as long as she married him, he'd get Pickles out of prison. The ancient prayers answered. Irishtown rioted in celebration of Denny's flouting the rule of law and honoring the old days, summoning the old ways. Now they called him King of the Diddicoys. And all the young men that flocked to Denny's White Hand from the Navy Yard down to Red Hook are known as his Soldiers of the Dawn. Innocently, I showed up for work. And that's when Denny's enforcer, the Swede, beat me to death's door, banished me to the shadows where I've lived ever since. And what had I done? Nothing, that's what. But I've learned that treachery is the right hand of wrongdoers. While Beloved was next. He was more man than Denny could handle. So he sent him to the Great War where Lovett was killed in action. The army showed up at his parents' tenement with heads bowed, hats in hand. And Denny Meehan sat uncontested on his throne under the banshee wails of the Manhattan Bridge. In the long shadows where I live, I think of that figure climbing up Sadie's fire escape when Denny was in custody. Who was it? I started sneaking up on my cousin Sadie and Denny's son. Secrets are as dangerous as a drunkard with a loaded pistol. To keep me quiet, she started giving me money to get Pickles out of Sing Sing. But with the war contracts for factories gone and soldiers returning in masses, there are less jobs in Brooklyn now. Malnutrition and a terrible influenza have appeared in their place. Finally, during a coal shortage, came a storm of slanting snow and a Brummel February freeze. Many in Brooklyn depend on Denny, now that he and some of his soldiers are yet again in custody for robbing a shoe factory. A great hunger has set in, darkness enveloping us all. Then, I had turned my back on fate, but I see it now. 2 angels rose up from the lowest point of this port city's misery. My daughter, Colleen Rose Leighton, was born, squealing and hungry. The second, out of the unsettled oceanic air, a dead man came to me in the shadows. Wild Bill Lovett. My heart pounded when I saw him, yet I couldn't breathe. He handed me his old Browning .45 caliber, but he had a crippling cough as if he were some newborn soul awakening. In a raspy voice, he told me to give the gun to Richie Lonergan, the teenager with the cold gray blue eyes, and whispered to me, "Mickey Kane. I will emerge from the long shadows with Wild Bill Lovett in this gang war. Our paths beset on all sides by the treachery of the White Hand. And I will feed my family."